Welcome back. We've got the women's under 23 4 final lined up in the gates. This is event number 71. Of course, this is day 4 of finals here at the Royal Canadian Henley Regatta, the 136th iteration of it. What you'll see on your screen right now is all crews getting aligned. The umpire in the aligner's hut, one Tammy Duncan. I'm fairly familiar. She is, of course, my mother. Very kind lady, making sure all those bows are going to be fully aligned and even. You can see on the far side of the screen there's a bit of a yellow vertical line. That's really a black and yellow board. They're going to make sure all the bow balls, that's the very front part of every boat, is aligned with where basically the yellow and the black meet.
Yes. All right. So in lane 2, we have Peterborough. In lane 3, Henderson. They are training out of the Northeastern Boathouse. In lane 4, Riverside. In lane 5, our host club, St. Catharines. In lane 6, Cambridge. And in lane 7, West Cambridge. Interesting.
Interesting. So a lot of Boston-based crews here. Of course, Riverside, Henderson, and Cambridge, all crews that train, I'm sure, on the Charles River and probably fairly familiar with each other.
Yes. So we have a start. It doesn't look like anyone has been dropped off the start. Looks like a good, clean start.
Yeah, which is always nice to see. Of course, these are under 23 athletes. We saw a lot of under 17 and under 19 racing earlier in the day. Some of them perhaps a little less drilled, a little less skilled, less refined in their technique. Certainly not to say anything about their effort levels. They were giving everything they had, but these athletes are likely not as new to the sport, have taken some more strokes, not likely to be some of their first Henley regattas, particularly now that they're in this final. So we'll be interested to see how this race plays out through the women's under 23 straight four.
Yes, definitely. So we are at about the 250, 300 meter mark. Everybody is lengthening into their base pace rhythm. They're trying to lay down a relentless, aggressive rhythm where it's long, but it's quick. They're really trying to lay down that rhythm and try to walk away from the cruise using that big push and send.
Yeah, and really not much to give in the field through this first quarter of the race as they're approaching the 500-meter pylon. We'll see exactly where they're at as they draw to 90 degrees with our camera. That's really the only time you can tell from the angle exactly who's in the lead. It does look to be Riverside out of lane 4, followed by St. Catharines in lane 5, and we'll see how the rest of the field plays out as they draw through the line.
Yes, they are followed by Henderson and Cambridge, then Peterborough, and then
you know what? I think it
that
was
West
Cambridge, then Cambridge, following up in the kind of chase position right now. But yes, it is Riverside up on St. Catharines in that battle for first place. Of course, here at the Henley Royal Regatta, the Canadian Henley Regatta, there is only a gold medal. So it's only going to be one of these crews coming home with a medal.
Yes. So right now, in the first bits of the second 500, this part of the course, it opens up a little bit. So the wind, it's not windy out, but the water can be a little bit swirly and a little more challenging. So it's important to sit up, keep sharp, stay together through this section, and really continue laying down your powerful, long rhythm.
And of course, that St. Catharines crew in lane 5, the locals here, they're going to be very familiar with this water. They have trained up and down this course hundreds of times without any doubt, and they will know exactly where they are. Perhaps the Riverside crews, perhaps not as experienced here at Henley. Certainly, if it were the head of the Charles in a couple weeks, it would be their territory, their home water. Here it's St. Catharines. They're not going to be lost. They're not going to be spending any time wondering, like, where am I? How much is left in this race? Like, where are the other crews? They know exactly where they are. I'm sure their coach, Kathy Licky-Boys, a mainstay, a former Olympian here from St. Catharines. She's a perennial coach, certainly very involved with the Brock University program here in St. Catharines. So Kathy will make sure that these athletes, Anna, Lauren, Amanda, and Brenna, are going to know exactly what to do, probably putting on a move sometime in the next couple strokes as they come through the halfway mark, trying to chase down Riverside.
Yep, so Riverside in first, St. Catharines second, Henderson third, followed by West Cambridge, and then Peterborough and Cambridge are very close. I think Peterborough has it by about a foot right now, but very tight racing for the 5th position.
Yeah, so really tight racing here in the women's under 23 for halfway through the race. Riverside's race at the moment, but certainly St. Catharines trailing and trying to get back in, claw back in, and the rest of the field still fairly tight and even with each other. It'll be interesting to see if the Riverside athletes from Bow, that's Maya, Tal, Kate, and Hannah, coached by Nikolai Kermakov. Apologize, Nikolai, if I butchered that. They're going to be trying to keep their bow out in front. It has been their race pretty much from the start, certainly from the 500-meter pylon. They have gotten their bow out in front. They have about a boat length lead. They're going to be trying, as they come through the island, past where the coaches are doubtlessly sitting, watching, standing, pacing. They're going to be trying to keep their bow out in front.
Yes, so it's still Riverside up. Right now, all the crews are coming to her. All their friends, all their fellow athletes, their coaches will be there. So they'll get a little boost right here with a little bit of support from their family and friends. So some cheering should be going on here. So coming into the last 600 meters of the race, close to the 1500 meter mark right now, it is still Riverside up on St. Catharines.
Yeah, and of course, this race, the women's under 23 4, that's the Nels Stacey Trophy, last year won by the University British Columbia, where stroke and bow seat from last year, that's Claire Brillian and Savannah Sammy Bacon, are racing right now, or did race this weekend at the World University Games in the women's 8 for Canada. I believe they came home with a silver medal.
Yes, they did. All right, so final 500.
Yes, kind of the last chance, the last quarter of the race. All the athletes, pretty much as soon as they've passed through the current shot on the screen, perhaps some of them before, certainly the crews that are trailing, going to be starting to bring their intensity up, bring their stroke rate up, trying to get the legs down that much harder, that much faster, trying to inch every ounce of energy they've got in their bodies, put it onto the handles, put it onto the blades, surge it through the water, get the bow out. But it really does seem to be Riverside's race, and they haven't let anyone come back onto them.
Yeah, they're leading from start to finish, it looks like. Of course, race is not over. It's never over until it's over. So right now they're focusing on bringing the rate up, coming into the final sprint. You can see them. You can see there was a bump right there. They jumped it up. So in all crews right now, coming into the final red buoy, signifying the last 250 meters of the race.
Yeah, pretty aggressive finish here, I think, from Riverside. They might be feeling the pressure a little bit with the St. Catharines Rowing Club crew in the lane right next to them, trying to bring up as well, trying to charge back into them. But it's been Riverside's race. They don't seem to be showing any signs of fatigue. They're not going to let St. Catharines move back into them.
No, definitely not. They're at a 37 right now, and we're coming down to the last 10, 15 strokes of the race.
You know, Katie, it has always impressed me how well Coxies can judge how many strokes are left in the race. You were certainly always capable of knowing like exactly the number when you were coxing me. I'm glad to see that hasn't changed.
It's a little bit harder from a camera.
Still a good skill to have, not
Yeah.
one that I have developed myself.
All right, so it is Riverside. Congratulations. Unofficially, Riverside. So that is Maya, Tal, Kate, Hannah, with their coach, Nikolay Kermakov. So they are unofficially with a time of 7:20.84. St. Catharines coming in second with a 7:26.49. So a 5.65 second win by the Riverside Boat Club.
I think a nice little shot we had there in the picture-in-picture with the Riverside crew. I was going to say a bit of a subdued celebration, just a little bit of slapping the water and clapping of hands, but it was almost a prolonged subdued celebration. So well done to those athletes. And of course, we don't have the audio down there, but I have no doubt that they'll be, looking over to their competitors, giving the thumbs up, giving a wave or a clap and saying thank you for a good race. We have seen a lot of really good sportsmanship here at the 136th Canadian Henley Regatta. Whew.